Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Feature Creeps, the show where two distinguished software engineers analyze software and apps. Today, we'll be taking ChatGPT to the next level, the darling of the year. But first, I'm your host, Johnny. Here's your other host, Joao.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Johnny. Welcome to another one. Exciting one today.
Yeah, ChatGPT has definitely been the app of the year. But first, where in the world are you today, Joao? How are you doing?
Yeah, good question. Today I am it's Christmas season, so I am in Brazil now to visit family. So I'm in a city called Bauru in the countryside of São Paulo. It's named after a sandwich in Brazil, so that's how it's mostly known for.
Wow.
It's also called a city with no limits, but I don't know why it's called that. And yeah, it's a pretty good place.
Like no limits in the Vegas type of way where there's a lot of poker and big gambling without a limit, or maybe a different spin.
Not at all. I still don't know why no limits. There's nothing poker related, I think.
We may ask ChatGPT later to see if it thinks it knows. But to start with today, I think most people are familiar with ChatGPT, given even random people on the street, when they hear that I'm an engineer, they will ask me, oh, what do you think about ChatGPT? Is it taking over the world? Is it good? Is it bad? I used it the other day, like it's great, it's bad, all those things. I think our viewers will know most about it. So I would like to ask you, what would you change about ChatGPT as it is today?
It's a tricky one, right? Because ChatGPT is such a new innovative thing that you feel like, oh my God, it's ahead of my thinking. But stepping away and knowing that I'm an engineer, not an AI specialized person, I would say the UI has a lot of room for improvement, I think. They've been trying to introduce like voice recognition features and synthesizing voice as well. And that seems like a good approach for like a chatbot and where ChatGPT wants to evolve to. But still, there is more that can be done. I think it looks, yeah, just very basic. Maybe it's not where they want to invest their efforts, but I don't know. Maybe you have something better, Johnny. What do you have there that you would change on
It's definitely
ChatGPT?
good points, and the ChatGPT app was the most downloaded app of the year, even though it doesn't have like a great design. It is functional, yes, it sells itself on the functionality, not on the visual flair. But what I would change is remove that notice they have at the end, where it says that the ChatGPT can hallucinate or get things wrong, or you should double check because it makes mistakes. I would remove that, not to spread misinformation, but I would add something like this in every message. I would love to see a confidence level or how much ChatGPT thinks it's gotten it right, which from the engineering side, we know that it may be tricky or it may not be something to expose. And that if you get it wrong and you say, all right, 100% confidence or 99% confidence, people reading it are going to think, all right, this is definitely true and not double check. But then you are in the 1% sense where it's actually made up lies and you are in trouble. So I can see how from the OpenAI ChatGPT side, they wouldn't want to disclose it like that. But I would love to have it on every message because I don't think people realize how often it can make up things or be wrong and how often they would need to be double checking what the output is.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think explainability. I don't know if I can use that word. I'll be more careful with words today because the machine learning people, they are very careful with the wording. But well, it's feature creep, so we won't be careful here. Uh, so I think the word explainability might be a good one, and it's something that they chase a lot on machine learning models, and maybe being able to give you a confidence level and explain a bit about like the why it came up with that answer. Although it's generative AI, I don't know how much you can do with that.
Yeah, the problem with it is
Yeah.
that it is a bit of a black box and it's trying to kind of auto-complete its way into an answer and it doesn't really know that it came up from this and that. But one of the horror stories that I hear is about a lawyer that supposedly made their case using ChatGPT and just presented it, and it had all the citations of these older cases, but then was, of course, double-checked by the judge. Like, where are all of these cases? And they were all made up because they didn't check their work. And I think that's totally on the lawyer. They shouldn't be doing this. But if even a lawyer can use this tool like this, clearly there must be something that the tool can be using to make it more obvious that you can use this in a different way that you may think you may be able to use it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But enough about like changing things and optimizing things that are already there. Do you have any brand new ideas of what to add to ChatGPT?
Yeah, we got your feature creeps early on because everyone knows what ChatGPT is. We don't need to be talking about it so much. But well, everyone knew about like WhatsApp and Google Docs before anyway. But well, feature creeping, thinking about the future, what ChatGPT can be. I've seen like a lot of new cool things they've been trying to do, customizing GPTs, and that's good effort for them, and then allowing people to be creative and customizing their own apps inside ChatGPT. That's cool. Yeah, this one that you can see on the screen, and I think yeah, there's a bunch of ideas on my list. I think the first one I thought, and that's engaging from the last episode we had on Google Docs, is the use it as a collaborative tool. And now you just have like a one-to-one you versus ChatGPT. But I think you could benefit from being collaborative and having like two people, you and I collaborating with like one GPT or maybe two ChatGPTs. And then we kind of like have this four-way conversation, or you can get different people's view on like the inputs and the prompts that you're doing. So
I
maybe
see.
room for that.
So like Google Docs or Figma, but two people would be able to edit the prompts and the answers and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So two people will be involved in a conversation. It's like a group chat, let's say. It's a group chat with your ChatGPT, and you can add more ChatGPTs with different opinions, maybe.
Interesting. Multiple personality ChatGPT. It'd be like that Pixar movie, but instead of the core emotions, you'd have different ChatGPTs, like the logical ChatGPT, the whimsical ChatGPT, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you can have different like political views, ChatGPT, if you're having sort of like uh, trying to validate something ethically and morally, but also you yeah, you could have like environmental activist or something that keeps you in on track with your uh, whatever you're trying to do with it.
I think that's not a Black Mirror episode because it's a proper like full feature film episode. I think the movie Hair has a little bit about this, where one of the AIs eventually start talking to AIs that are famous people from the past, which made me think that oh, maybe you want to discuss with the AI representation of Marx about your leftist or rightist ideas and see what they have to say about it.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Impersonate people. It's also something that I've seen some tools trying to do it, but it does require a lot of input, I guess. But you can get close, or you can get somewhere, I guess,
So, how do you
with
feel
the
about
people.
people impersonators like Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley impersonator who goes on stage and pulls off the moves and does the voice and the songs and whatever else? Do you think this is like a cool skill or is it like a creepy skill? How do you feel about those?
Well, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that we can recreate that so easily, and then you can do that from certain contexts. But I think that's harmless. But when you think that you can create the personality of someone, the opinions, and then what they can do, I think that's another level. It's another discussion.
Right. Yeah. When Jim Carrey pretends to be Clint Eastwood, I think it's cool because
Yeah.
he controls his face, he does the mannerism. It's amazing. But when it's like an artificial tool that someone has programmed to behave like someone else, I think that's yeah, that needs a few more disclaimers, and it's suddenly less fun.
Certainly more disclaimers. Yeah.
Although it has been popular to do like a Christmas song in the style of another artist, like how which one was it? I don't quite remember. Like famous Christmas songs. Who sung Sinatra, of course. Like how
Yeah.
would Sinatra sing Despacito or something like that? Has been a recent trend.
Yeah. it's so much you can do with ChatGPT, to be honest, and then expanding that, it's pretty hard. I think this is a hard challenge for us in this episode. And how about you, Jenny? Do you have anything to add to ChatGPT? Any feature creep on your side?
So, as we've seen with the custom assistants that OpenAI has started adding, and you can build your own, you can pretty much do anything at this point with the large language model. But I would love like dedicated experiences, not theoretically you can do this and that. Like even my previous idea of the confidence level. In theory, you could be saying, ChatGPT, please always answer with your confidence level and your citations and everything like that. So you could make it answer in the way you want, but I want it to be out of the box. So for this idea, I would want ChatGPT to create a curriculum of sorts for me to maybe open a new tab, go to ChatGPT, and then it would teach me something new. It would start knowing what I know and what I like learning about, and every day it would suggest, oh, what's these YouTube videos? Or here's a story that will teach you more about Greek myth, and here's a story that will teach you more about nuclear fission or whatever else, whatever it thinks. So I would like, I guess, ChatGPT to be my personal Aristoteles or Socrates or something like that, that has been thought of in the past, but I think we're kind of closer to that with something like ChatGPT today.
I think we're getting closer to that, indeed. I do think I don't see that as a like unfeasible in the near future in 2024 or so. So getting more of a lot of like personalization into ChatGPT or maybe other AI tools. A lot of companies are working towards that as well. So um, it's yeah, it wouldn't surprise me for sure.
In YouTube, for sure, lots of like list videos are popular. Like, how do I get into front-end engineering, or how do I do like this? And then you list 5 reasons that will generally be useful and things you may want to do to get into. But with something like ChatGPT, that you can, the user can provide more context and can elaborate and can ask for something else if they don't like what they get. You can really personalize this learning experience. So I think that's a huge opportunity to fine tune ChatGPT a little bit just for that learning experience. Help me learn every day. I don't know what we'd call this sort of feature, but it'd be like, you know, personal tutor, customized tutor, help me learn every day, GPT, something like that.
Yeah, but do you even need to learn more now that you have ChatGPT?
That's a great question. Well, I think we live to learn. So
Yeah,
maybe we can drop learning about the things that we don't really need. Like, I don't want to learn how to do my taxes. Like, I don't want to do my taxes ever. I want something to do them for me. And that's something I could, you know, expunge from my mind, like the knowledge of how to file tax forms and when to file them and all of that. And instead, I could learn something more exciting. So I think that's the opportunity there, to stop learning the things that aren't fun or creative and start learning the things that we're really passionate about.
absolutely. Knowledge is the food of the mind, I guess, and that's
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's useful to be learning more and more. And then just yeah, just a parenthesis on that, and that's a good discussion is do you think reading a lot about ChatGPT, a lot of people are changing their opinions towards it may be a bit overrated.
Mm.
Do you think it's a little overrated from what we thought it could do and what it's doing to the world right now?
Yeah, I think that also ties into the like my confidence level thing. I think many people think that ChatGPT does have a personality, like does have feelings, does have knowledge, and don't know that it's kind of like auto-completing the answers from things that it's seen on the internet. And sometimes the quality of the data is like a good Wikipedia article. Sometimes it may be a vandalized Wikipedia article. Sometimes it may be like a weird subreddit with full of fake news. So it really depends how useful and accurate it can be. And I think most people, I'm not sure like if today people are more aware of this or not, but I'd say, yeah, a bit overrated.
Yeah, I think we're learning to know what is it that is actually useful for, and learning to digest the output of a large language model like ChatGPT in order to understand that's not something that would take you 100% there, but maybe something that would take you 60, 80% there. And with coding, and which is probably the feature that we use the most, right? Explaining code or debugging or fixing errors or coding in general. We use like GitHub Copilot and other tools like that. They are similar, and also ChatGPT for that. I noticed that before I was using ChatGPT as like, this is definitely the answer. I would copy the answer, paste, and then it wouldn't actually be the one a lot of the times, and it would actually need some like fine tuning. And I would come back to ChatGPT, and it would take me like long time to get to like the final answer in code. So I guess instead of like going back and forth to ChatGPT, I'm more trying to like, okay, I know this. Maybe with like 1 or 2 Google searches, I can actually get this ChatGPT code to actually work and not take every sentence they said about this as a source of truth. So I think that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's definitely a trap that I've fallen into as well. Sometimes it will suggest something, some code that you can copy paste, and then like hours later you'll figure out that, oh, it actually has like a little bug that was catching me out in the end. And it can be frustrating because sometimes if you just tell it then that, oh, this redraws on every frame or whatever, it will say, oh yeah, like this does some needless work and it's a bottleneck in your app. So you should actually be doing this. Why didn't you tell me this in the first time? I have asked ChatGPT for today to like pretend that we're interviewing it and talk a little bit about itself. Previously, I was asking it to try to create a thumbnail for itself. And it would say, well, I cannot create images. And then I had to tell it, you can create images now. You have the DALL-E embedded into you nowadays, so you can. And then it was like, oh yeah, I can. Let's generate something. You are correct. So sometimes it needs to be convinced that it can do something. And some other times it needs to be pointed out to it that this is incorrect. You can do better. Please try again.
Yeah, true. That is, and it's, I mean, it acts very humbly in a way when you ask something. I said like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm wrong.
And to go a little bit into the code part, there is a tool that I really loved from the beginning, which was called Prettier, which we both use very, very much, which is the perfect tool. There were doubters back then. Prettier is a tool that formats your code. You can kind of tune your preferences and say, I want my line length to be this, or I want commas, or I want semicolons, or whatnot. But you give it the instructions and it will format the code for you perfectly. 100% of the time, it will do a better job than any human ever could. There were questions back then that, oh, maybe it's a good skill to know how to format your code yourself and do the line breaks and all of that. And I needed to fight and convince people and say, no, I'd rather have the automated tools do this 100% of the time correctly, and then I'm freed up to know other things and solve other sorts of problems that need a human flavor. With ChatGPT, I do think in the beginning especially, we had this illusion that it can do some of the job better, but it can be situational. You've mentioned to me that for TypeScript types, if you tell it, this is the model, create the TypeScript types, it can do a very good job at that. But if you were to say, oh, I want this 3D graph using this library, it may introduce a weird bug that you'll need to waste time afterwards. So I think that's the beauty and the danger and the difference between a non-black box tool like Prettier, which has specified input parameters, here's your output. ChatGPT, you give it some input, you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I agree. And but I think also there's a factor that how much better your prompts are getting. So I think it's somewhere in between. Okay, yeah, ChatGPT is not ready for this, or you shouldn't 100% rely your code and production code on that. But there's also the fact that you could improve your prompt and actually get the answer slightly better. So prompt is everything nowadays.
Which may be like an overlapping skill in real life if you're a manager or if you're leading a team, because sometimes you need to make your Slack messages or your prompts to your other engineers a bit better for them to do exactly what you want. They cannot read your mind, so maybe you need to express yourself better. But of course, the problem with ChatGPT is that it has a different understanding of context than humans, and humans are able to like be creative and kind of get like the vibes of what you're talking about. Well, ChatGPT cannot, at least not at the moment.
Yeah, sure, agree.
Any other bright new features for the ChatGPT?
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about feature creeps. So we touched a bit about ideas around crossing wires in companies and in like communications, and like even having a minority report sort of tool where you would avoid people to make mistakes, or Minority Report is mostly about avoiding people to commit crimes, but a bit more exoterical in a way. But imagine if you could have ChatGPT in charge of not allowing the world to end.
Ooh.
Just like being mindful that
I think you need to see more like Terminator style movies, because the premise of those is that, oh, we just have this
it's the opposite.
nice little goal, let's save humanity, and we give it to a machine, and then it decides, well, there is one great way to ensure the world does not end, and that's with the death of humans or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. That is the dystopian future that we may encounter if we continue using ChatGPT. Because I did thought about like a lot if this is the beginning of the AI takeover of the world, right? The robot uprising that we've seen so much in so many movies, and I'm just trying to think of feature creeps that would actually force us the other direction, where ChatGPT is our friendly activist to keep humans alive. But I can see how that can turn out some other way.
Yeah, you talked about the prompt engineer and how we need to get better at it. That you can just ask it how to not end the world, and then it will tell you some things that humans are not willing to stop doing. And then you'll need to ask it more. Well, how can we do it while keeping our air conditioners running? How can I keep my car and also save the world? How can I travel the world in airplanes and also save the world? And that sort of thing. Or it may suggest, you can all move to Mars. Like I'll give you the schemas, and one scenario would be the schemas are almost right, but then you try to lift off and they explode. And scenario B would be, you just tell it Mars sucks. I don't want to live there. I don't want to be indoors all the time. So please suggest something else for me.
Yeah, I think good point. And also when I say the world ending, I mean humans being extinct, because the world probably gonna continue to exist.
Yeah,
But again,
that's
the
like
world pro
great to
humans.
add in the prompt. In
Yeah,
your human
yeah,
context, it's like when you say word endings, I mean, humans need to survive.
yeah, That's, you can see how we still suck at prompts, because I wasn't able to do a good one now.
How do we keep humanity going? Well, ChatGPT is a bit like too nice nowadays. It would just say, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing so well.
Yeah, Please be less nice. Be real. No, don't be real.
I think that's the Grok version that Elon's team is working on, like a cheekier version of ChatGPT powered by X.
All right. Let's see how that's gonna end up.
So, how
Yeah,
to how to make ChatGPT help us save the world or save humanity?
I think being able to read real-time data, consume lots of amounts of data, and let's say environmental data, weather, and conditions like that of the world over time, and being able to predict something faster than we would with analysis. I guess we probably already have like pretty good systems on that, but um, being able to use the inputs that we have from humans and the whole data that we are prompting there, plus the real-time data of like how the things going with the oceans and all that, might be a good combination to improve and try the efforts on not ending the world for humanity.
All right, so I have some thoughts on that. we do now know and have some data to say that, oh, the temperatures are rising or the water levels are also rising, and that's bad. But lots of people will see that data and either dismiss it or just don't understand the impact that it will have. Maybe now, maybe in this generation, and definitely the generations coming. So maybe a tool like ChatGPT could help us not just parse the data, but present the data in a convincing manner. So maybe ChatGPT can create the summaries and blog posts to educate people that this is something that should be working against or working towards something else. Maybe it would also be creating the short form TikToks that the kids love nowadays, the YouTube videos, the Netflix series, that sort of thing. So it is a big problem to parse tons of data. But another problem is, all right, you have your insights from your data. How do you make a convincing argument using it? And maybe ChatGPT could help with that.
Yeah, I like that. That we are warming up on ideas here, and I think one thing that could be even more convincing is simulations, which is something I thought would bring up to this. What if we could simulate to you? A convincing way of presenting to humans is actually simulate how the world's gonna end if you do things that way. Um, and then we can even have like VR goggles that you actually watch the simulation generated by ChatGPT. Something.
Simulations would be very cool. I don't know if it's in the ChatGPT realm, but I guess the AI realm. I guess you kind of talked about this before, that there are some concerns whether LLMs may be like a dead end for that sort of thing, that you can make an LLM better, but it wouldn't be able to run a simulation like that. But if we are in the much bigger scope of AI, yeah, simulations would be amazing, because that's the basis of science, really, running experiments. And we're limited by our world in our ability to run an experiment that takes thousands of years. But if you have a good enough simulation, you can run it in the lab, in the machine, like 1,000,000 times. And there are tons of super insightful simulations that I would love to run. And also some fun ones, like, if you were to do the last 200 years of the world, like, would Messi be the best footballer, like, every time, 90% of the time, 1% of the time? Would it be someone else? Would it be Pele? Would it be someone completely unknown? Like, those fun things as well could be nice simulations to see. How often does this person become, like, how often is Albert Einstein the person doing the things that they did? Is the person that they always come up with the theory of relativity, or is it someone else? Like, how many times do you need to run the simulation to end up with a different result?
Yeah, and also we can easily get into another Black Mirror episode where you try to simulate someone's life, and then you dictate exactly, oh, this is exactly how life is gonna go, and then you have no actual choices here, assuming that we do have choices. And then yeah, it does have an episode of, like, there is an episode of Black Mirror where they simulate the date of someone.
Oh
It's like
yeah,
a dating app where they just like live through the whole lives together, just say if it's a good match or a bad match, and then you're watching thinking it's an actual date, and then they're actually in a relationship, but in the end it's all a simulation.
yeah. As always with Black Mirror, well, maybe not as always, but very often with Black Mirror, it's a great discussion point, because especially when it comes to relationships and love, to be with someone. So I'm not sure. Like, would I trust that the app is saying 90% confidence it works out, or 10% confidence it works out? Will I still say, oh no, I think my destiny is to be with this person, they are my soulmate, or it isn't? I don't know, but it'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a good realm of ideas there.
It's also something that would keep me up at night, of course, because sometimes you think about your life, you reflect about your life decisions, and you think, how did you end up there? And there are so many pivot points that could have resulted in divergent zonies, variant zonies that are living somewhere else now, had different careers. And if I had the ability to see like possible simulations, possible outcomes, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be happier or sadder, but I know
Yeah,
that I'd be sleepless because I'd be watching them all the time.
yeah, that is pretty grim in a way to be able to know what were the possible pivots of your life at given points. And yeah, now I think we should go back to ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's a real backend. So maybe one of my ideas about ChatGPT, and a much simpler one, is that I'd love to have ChatGPT for rubber ducking, which rubber ducking is commonly used in engineering, where you have a rubber duck or a teddy bear or another prop. Sometimes you can even have another person, and you present the problem to the rubber duck. So as if you were talking to another person, you say, oh, I'm trying to make this code work, but I have this problem. And in the process of verbalizing all of this, very often you find the result because the answer was within you all along. Sometimes this happens when we work, like you may call me with something and I just be nodding politely, and then in the process of you telling me the problem, you realize that the answer is this. So it's super helpful. And can ChatGPT do something like that? Can it help me rubber duck better? So not necessarily describe the problem to ChatGPT and it will give you the answer, but in the process of describing the problem, you figure out the answer yourself. So maybe it help you verbalize your problem. How could ChatGPT help you verbalize this problem?
That's a good one. That's a good one. So you can have like in a ChatGPT mode where you're like, don't answer me.
Yeah,
I
just
don't want
listen.
your
Just
answer.
listen mode.
Just
Be an
yeah,
active listener.
yeah. Just a therapy mode. Just
Exactly.
listen. Don't want your opinion. Yeah. Actually, just pivoting a little, it's like mental health support would be nice as well. Just like having it is every time you go into like health care or maybe medical advice, it's definitely tricky to bring like AI and machine learning into that realm, because it's life-threatening situations. But if we could rely on something like ChatGPT to remove worries from people and have like actual like a rubber ducking thing, but as a therapy, for like mental health, that'll be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, I've seen people having a lot of success keeping a journal, and oftentimes those journals will have some prompts to get you to write and express your opinions. And I can see how ChatGPT could help you guide yourself through those situations. But speaking of medical advice, a great friend of mine has gone a bit viral on LinkedIn because she posted how she saved a pigeon's life or a bird's life in through with ChatGPT, because she found a bird on the street that looked to be in a bad condition and took a picture and asked ChatGPT, "What do I do?" And ChatGPT analyzed and said, "It's this type of bird. It looks like it has a broken wing. Don't move it, and you are in this location, call this number and help will arrive." And amazingly, it all worked out. Indeed, she called the number, real help arrived, like a veterinarian help arrived, and the bird was saved. So I was very surprised by that because of how ChatGPT learns. Usually it'd be someone on Reddit posted a picture of something, it can identify that it's probably this type of bird, and someone commented, "Oh, you shouldn't move it because something bad may happen." But it actually applied to that current situation, so that was quite amazing.
That is pretty amazing. Yeah. I think this is a great feature of analyzing images and giving you, some outputs from what you want from it. I've seen the demo video of Google Gemini, and they show some impressive things in there where you start drawing and it describes to you what's in there. But this whole idea of that technology being so real time in like reading and allowing you to see, um, well, just reading images and all that, I think that's still a bit far, or maybe too expensive to scale to everyone in the world, um, depending on the how many frames you want to analyze per second if you want to analyze a video or things like that. So in your friend's case, it's definitely quite useful. But in terms of feasibility, to get how easy it's gonna be to just automate your entire house with some like image recognition of you walking through rooms and doing things and just flushing your toilet for you and like doing all of that based on AI, like a massive house robot in real time, maybe
I
still
think the
not so
home
possible,
automation
but that's a
space
future creep.
actually is more feasible than other cases.
Mhm.
Something,
Yeah, sure.
MyFitnessPal is a very popular app that people often use to track their macros and intakes and all of that, which I have used in the past, but it has been a long time. But it's very hard to track your meals and say, all right, this was like 10 grams of protein and 50 grams of carbs and whatnot. And I always thought it'd be awesome. What if I could just take a video or a picture of what I'm eating, and then it will tell me, oh, that's a breakdown, just take the picture and don't worry about it. We'll analyze the data. But in reality, that's so hard to do because it just sees the plate. It doesn't know what seasonings are in it. It doesn't know how deep is the plate, what's inside, like this layer of meat. Like, is it like 2 kilos of puree? Maybe. How would it know that? So, as much as I can see how insanely useful that would be, I just don't know how would ever be able to get there.
Yeah, it's like those TikTok videos of, is it a cake or is it real? And
Yeah,
then there's
exactly.
someone with a knife trying to get it.
Yeah, if I can't
I
tell,
can tell.
like, very often I cannot tell, like, what's a drawing and what's a real thing. Very often I cannot tell that either. So if a human cannot tell if this is 2D or 3D from a picture because the picture is 2D, how would the AI know, like, the depth? How deep is this bowl of lasagna and that sort of thing?
Yeah, but going back to smart homes, I think we do have some good feature creeps there because there are lots that we can do. And a lot of annoying things that are repetitive. I guess that's the whole point of AI and the ChatGPT is just avoiding you doing like so like tiny things, repetitive things that you don't want to do, even if it's like writing or generating some text or something. And maybe in your home it could actually help you do that. Just yeah, opens the door for you and does the flushing, does the the lights and all that. I guess that there's a lot of already without AI, but maybe just a generic massive home automation AI they can install in any home, and then that would solve any problems. Would be the one.
Yeah, and I do have smart lights, and they mostly work, I would say. And they can even tell when I leave the house, and then they will set themselves off, or the time of day, and they will dim or not dim, and whatnot. But I would love something that runs the kettle, which is actually an energy saving as well, because boiling water is kind of expensive. So if it could tell, oh, I'm waking up and I'm going to make my coffee, and then start running the kettle for me, that'd be amazing. But it feels feasible, I would say. The problem is how do you get the water in the kettle? It's the moving parts type of thing that's
Yeah,
tricky. And there is Boston Dynamics and other companies that are trying to do amazing stuff with robots, but it's always very hard to have robots doing 3D space things that for us humans is quite easy.
yeah. And I guess generative AI and what ChatGPT does is not really the tech for stuff like that. It would have to be something else.
It could be something that helps you. Like if you give it enough feedback, it could tell you, all right, you want to set your lights to dim at 5 p.m. at this time, or do remind you to turn on the kettle. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a different sort of It can help you maybe come up with your routine. Like you can workshop the routine that you need to do every day with ChatGPT, but it wouldn't be the system you'd use to have it warm your kettle. You'd need a different tool for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any other feature creeps on your side, Jenny?
Those were the big ones, which weren't like super crazy. But yeah, the AI tutor and the rubber ducking slash therapy mode, active
Yeah,
listener mode were the big ones for
I
me.
like
How
that.
about you?
I think I'm probably reaching the end, but I thought about a topic that maybe we can discuss, and it's something we discussed about before, which is emotion and sentiment analysis,
Mm,
and maybe having something like that when you're doing your prompts, because we've been analyzing tools for sentiment analysis, and most of them are based on text. But there's so much that you lose on text, that other, voice can give you, video can give you of the emotions, and even like being in person with someone can give you lots more than just like the video, than just the 2D view of someone. So if ChatGPT could maybe like read your emotions a bit better in a video, and consider that part of your prompt, if you're depending on the prompt, could be helpful.
Definitely. I did ask ChatGPT to tell me the things it wants to add to itself. And one different prompt that I tried that I liked is what capability would a competing LLM, large language model, have that you'd be jealous of? And one of the things it said is emotional intelligence, like responding to emotional cues in text. But how would it know in text? I don't know, but it's something that it would love to do, to be able to understand that sort of emotional context and be able to have emotionally intelligent responses.
Yeah, you could maybe even read your rage typing, how heavily are you typing your keys compared to normal.
But you need to buy like so much gear for that. You need a keyboard that actually tracks how hard you've pressed each key. But maybe not, just having the audio out and it can hear like the clanging, like tush, tush, or they're really smashing the
Yeah,
keyboard. Now it would think and know that you're a bit frustrated.
yeah, but maybe ChatGPT could give you an emotional package of tools by OpenAI,
This is
delivered to
the
you.
the emotional bundle. Like take these things, like a heart rate monitor and yeah, the sensitive keyboard, and it would make ChatGPT better for you. That's how they'd sell it.
Yeah,
So the
I guess
question
I
is,
could see that happening, like ChatGPT is sending you IoT things to improve your interaction with it. Um,
so my
Example
question is,
recently.
would you use them if OpenAI was sending them to you for free? Would you pay for them to make ChatGPT like a bit better with the context and the emotional intelligence stuff? Like, what would you do?
Um, I think so. Maybe I would need some proof, obviously, but like if you think about it, how we wear like watches for tracking, monitoring our activity and all that, and we want more data of everything nowadays, and it's something that used to be just for pros, and now everyone has sort of like a smartwatch or something, just or anything in your phone that can read more data about your body health and things like that. So maybe physical things that enhance your ChatGPT performance could be useful.
Yeah, ChatGPT prompt A plus prompt engineer certified, so long as you get this wristband that tracks some extra data.
Yeah, if Apple was doing it, everything would be the I emotional package.
So we've talked about DALI a little bit and stable diffusion and all of those things. And I've used something called Playground AI with some scrolling through a pictures, some outputs. I guess it's generated from other user prompts. And I also used it to create the thumbnail for this episode, the background of this episode. I said, create a ChatGPT avatar, a personalization of ChatGPT, and make it be the YouTube thumbnail. And then it created this person with a huge open mouth, like kind of half reacting with their face on the corner. You can see the thumbnail today to check it out.
Yeah,
But it's kind of fun how even for something that's a blimp in humanity's history, like YouTube, it does know the context of, yeah, people usually do thumbnails where they have their mouths in like a wow expression in the corner. I found that fascinating.
yeah, it's brilliant, to be honest.
So any bonus tips for DALI playground AI, like stable diffusion models. I know that you've used a lot of them in Photoshop as well. Like you've done more work in that front than I. So any bonus tips for that?
I think, as well as we discussed about ChatGPT, that we feel like it takes you 80% there, and you got to do some more. I like Adobe Firefly because it gives you lots of like options, and then it can work around your own image, and it's more like pro. But um, Mid Journey is really good as well. That generates images from prompts, and as we said, like we really love the name Mid Journey because it's what it is. It takes you like at some point, at some stage towards your goal, and then you can do the rest. And that's great for an AI name, AI tool name. So yeah, in general, I am kind of it's the those image generation tools. They are impressive, but not yet like amazingly useful for most things. I would love to see more of like asset generation and more like pixel perfect generation of things. Which we do see. We can generate like websites and things that are like structured from like HTML and CSS. But thinking about like game assets I think it's still a bit far. Still a bit far.
So from my side, I do find the mid-journey style tools like Playground AI as well and DALI more helpful to me because my drawing ability is near zero, unlike my writing ability, script writing ability and coding ability, which is more than zero. So ChatGPT doesn't usually get me like a lot of the way there, but those tools give me like a much better starting point than I could have had, because I'd need to go to Pinterest and then find something related and then kind of trace it on Illustrator. But they get a better result to start with than me doing all of that. And my point
Absolutely.
here is, if there is one, is that often my problem, I guess, with them is that they either get a good output from the starting prompt that I have, or a terrible one, and it cannot be saved. So I think they get me like 80% of the way to what I have in my mind to create, or 0% of the way and there's no recovery. But even if their first result is at 80%, I cannot ever improve it to like 90% or 100%, which I would be able to if I was working with Arial artists. So that's the thing I would love to be improved here. That fine-tuning process, I think, is better with text and ChatGPT, even though we talked before that if you tell it you made a mistake there or you need to cite your sources, it will oblige. The AI tools seem to not be able to do that. And I recently saw a TikTok where a person was telling it create a hamburger, and the tool kept creating cheeseburgers, and he was saying no cheese, please, no cheese, like a cheese is this, remove the cheese, but it would keep throwing something with cheese, because I imagine that almost every picture of a hamburger on the internet is the classic one that has the cheese in there, and no one in their right minds would remove cheese from a cheeseburger. Like, you can have vegan cheese, if anything, but remove the cheese, that's insane. Like, the AI has never seen anything like that on the internet, so it cannot be convinced to remove it.
Yeah. And I do know real places and real people that cannot remove the cheese as well. So it's not only an AI problem.
Yeah, with me it's
Yeah.
lettuce. Lettuce is the one that I often ask them, please remove the lettuce, no lettuce, and yet still sometimes doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The
Because
problem
you
is
gotta
I
eat
have the
lettuce.
ability with my human hands to remove it afterwards or after effect, but with my zero artistic ability and drawing ability, I cannot do it myself. Like, it's too hard.
Yeah.
All right, are
Awesome.
we tapping out for ideas about ChatGPT, LLMs, and all this generative AI revolution that we're experiencing?
I think so. I think we dropped some good ones. I think we got it.
All right. So this will be our last episode of the year. It's the holiday and Christmas season. I hope everyone has a great time with loved ones and family. I hope you have a very special time in Brazil as well, João. It's been great to start doing this year, and we'll come back for more.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much, Johnny. Thanks for doing this, and also thanks for a wonderful first episodes of Feature Creeps. And have a wonderful end of the year and Christmas and New Year's and all that.
All the best to you and everyone. Have a lovely holiday season. Bye.
See you, everyone.